Hey, what's up, guys? Tookie here, back again with another episode of my Carolina Hurricanes franchise mode series right here on NHL 19. And today, we take on the Philadelphia Flyers in the Eastern Conference Final. It has been an interesting run, to say the least, from missing out on the playoffs over the past 3 seasons to changing up things with the team, the addition of Nathan MacKinnon and Braden Shen, the development of prospects like Matanen, the addition, obviously, of guys like Turcotte, Zegras, Theo Rocher as well. It's all led us to this point here. Now, quickly before we take a look at the Flyers lineup, there was the topic of conversation as to whether or not I have the freedom to move the lines, and it's still a debatable point. People are still a little bit torn on it, so for now, we're going to stick with having to play people within their role, which means Dominic Machine will be back in the lineup, and if he gets hurt, then hey, Myers is there at the very least. And goaltending-wise, Spencer Knight is back, of course. Not exactly off to an amazing start this postseason through the 8 games, but it has been, in part, with, of course, Jack Campbell, good enough to get us to this point. Knight is the guy for us to begin this series, and we need him to play the best hockey of his career as Machine is back to 100%. That is exactly what you would prefer to see. Let's take a look, though, at this Blues. I saw the Blues, Western Conference Final, of course. And, of course, I got the Blues on the mind as a Bruins fan right about now. Let's take a look at this Philadelphia lineup, what we are up against here in the conference final, and that is interesting, and so is that. We start off with now 34-year-old Jakub Voracek, 10 points in 11 games, centered by Sean Couturier, not exactly lighting the world on fire in terms of offense, but still ever so dangerous, and Mitch Marner, 7 points in 11 games, the former Hurricane, who has had his best season to date with the Flyers this year. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens between him and MacKinnon, of course. Second line, Claude Giroux still there at 36 years old, still an 89 overall, 9 points in 11 games. Nolan Patrick with 9 points in 11 games. He's up to a 90. And JVR at 35 years old, 11 goals, 1 assist in 11 games. That is outrageous for the 35-year-old JVR. The third line, Michael Furland, an old face, of course, 7 points this postseason, centered by German Rubtsov, who has 10 points, and Wade Allison, 5 points in 11 games. The fourth line, Joel Farabee, 6 points this postseason, centered by Morgan Frost, who also has 6 points. And then Nicholas Hjalmarsson. So I'll be intrigued to see if anything changes with their team. Forward-wise, Travis Konechny is hurt, and we will have to see for how long, so I guess they're going to be rolling technically with 7 defensemen, although, of course, Hjalmarsson will just be a forward. The defense is interesting. Provorov on that top pairing, somehow not a top 2 defenseman, alongside Travis Sanheim. The second pairing, Shane Gostisbehere with Joel Edmondson. And the third pairing, Ryan Graves, former Ranger, with Sam Morin. The goaltender is Carter Hart. Offensively, very well-rounded, very dangerous. That is a tremendous team. That top 6 is outrageous. The third line, the fourth, that is just a very, very good team. Defensively, they lack another legitimate second pairing or top 4 guy, but it is very well-rounded. Obviously, Provorov, Gostisbehere, and Sanheim leading the way. That's a strong front 3. And then Carter Hart, who has a .939 save percentage, had a .923 in the regular season. He has become what you would expect Carter Hart to be at this point in a franchise mode. Jonas Johansson is the backup. The big thing for us here is Travis Konechny being hurt, because if he was not, that Philly team would be that much more disgusting. It's already disgusting. Imagine Konechny in that lineup rather than Hjalmarsson. The good news for us is that Konechny is out until the end of the month due to a concussion. It is May 8th. So he will not be a factor in this series. And not to go all Toronto on Kevin Durant, but, you know, I'm applauding that. And it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Every fan base would have done the same goddamn thing. Yeah, he's out. Oh, it sucks he's hurt, though, because I'm a human being and I have empathy. You get the point. It's a joke. It's a joke. Oh, boy. This is by far, and not to take a shot at the Penguins, not to take a shot at the New York Islanders. This is by far our biggest challenge yet. If you didn't believe in this team, and I don't know if I do at this point, but if you didn't believe in this team, overcoming this challenge would provide you all the confidence that you would need. If we can beat Philly, if we can get to the Stanley Cup final, I think we can win the whole damn thing. But first, we have to take 4 games against the Flyers. This series is underway. We have home ice advantage. Let's see if we can take advantage of it. First period of Game 1, and the Hurricanes strike first. It is Nathan MacKinnon drawing first blood just under 4 minutes into the first. Slight edge in shots for the Flyers, but we're up 1-0. Can we maintain that lead throughout the second? Yes, we can. Still a slight edge in shots for Philly, 26-22, but MacKinnon has the only goal to this point. We go to the third, up by 1, and the next goal, if there is one, is oh so important as the Flyers penalty kill comes up big, but Nathan MacKinnon gets his second of the game not that long after. We are over the halfway mark. Power play here, 5-on-3. We can't take advantage, but we killed time. Under 5 minutes left, and the Carolina Hurricanes take Game 1. Empty netter or not, it is a hat trick for Nathan MacKinnon in this first game. An outrageous 41 save shutout for Spencer Knight. And a statement has been made. Game 1 to the Canes. Unbelievable. Our 2 key players deliver. That is the story of Game 1. We'll talk about that in a minute. We hedged our bets. We put money down, saying Nathan MacKinnon was the guy over Mitch Marner. He proved to be there. Spencer Knight was drafted to be the goaltender of the future. He delivers there. However, Braden Shen is hurt, and that drastically changes the outlook of the team to lose our second-line center. Now, again, in terms of point production, nothing outrageous, but still 12 points in 8 games for that veteran pickup. And, of course, he's that much more important to us because we lost He Who Shall Not Be Named because I technically broke a rule. This, however, it puts us into a rough spot. As far as what this team is going to be, we're going to go best lines for the moment. But there is then the question. Turcotte has 91 faceoffs, 85 there, and 90 for Zegras. And then Shinkarik could also play center. So it's the question of who jumps up. And I gotta be honest, even Theo could step up if we really wanted him to. I think the obvious choice would be Zegras, just for how dominant he's been. I think it has to be. If anybody can step into that second line, Trevor Zegras is that guy. Now, as far as how it sets up the power play, it does make Turcotte the center. So I think we'll have to make a slight change to have Zegras technically be listed as the center. And then we'll still have, I think Rocher will get bumped up. Either that or Matt Philippe gets the call. This would be the one time where I can bump up a fourth liner. And that fourth line has been a little bit shaky, so I think we have to take advantage of that. I think Alex Turcotte has a better shot than Martinen. He absolutely does. And then we'll have Philippe on that left-hand side. So we're going to change Hunter Shinkaruk to a center. Turcotte will go right wing, And then Trevor Zegras will be changed to a center as well. And we'll see what effect that has when we go best lines. But unfortunately, that was a near 20-day injury for Brayden Schenn. I would presume that he is out for the rest of this series. And now we really get to test the depth of this team. We talked about Trevor Zegras more than likely, and of course we acquired him from the Flyers in the Marner trade, but we talked about him probably being the guy to step up to that second line and replace Brayden Schenn. Well, we're going to see if he's ready for that role here and now. We are going to need him to be if we are still going to find a way to be successful in this series. I think the biggest issue is going to be with the penalty kill. Brayden Schenn would obviously be the number one center for the penalty kill, and we'll see how it's set up with these changes that have been made. As we'll change Alex Turcotte to a right wing and make the most of this. But it's tough. It's bittersweet. Big moment winning game one, but then the injury to Schenn in the process. We'll see how our team ends up reacting. Hopefully, we can still get a proper result and take that 2-0 series lead. But let's go ahead and see what we look like here as McKinnon's up to 19 points in 12 games. If we go best lines, and there we go. It actually puts Shinkaruk over Richer, which won't be allowed. So there we go. That is the team defensively. I still want Bean and Riley, Byram, Hamilton. So the power play, straightforward. The penalty kill, though, is what I'm interested in. It has Zegras and Shinkaruk, so the old third liner. And that's the thing, man. Trevor Zegras, you look at that defensive category, he is not at a place on the penalty kill. We'll see what Hunter Shinkaruk can do, though. So big moments there for the young players. I mean, Zegras is 23, Turcotte's 23, Matinen's 21. Hunter Shinkaruk, the veteran forward of the penalty kill at 29 years old, but it's not as if he has an extreme amount of NHL experience, especially in the playoffs. Now, St. Louis managed to take game one against Edmonton, so we could be on a very interesting collision course, but we can't overlook our opponents. It is game two. What version of our team will show up? Will it be another shutdown effort, or will the Flyers fight back with a vengeance? First period, 2-0. Philadelphia. Nolan Patrick and Michael Ferland with the goals. Still only a slight edge in shots, but they get the Spencer Knight there, and they have the early lead because of it. Patrick and Ferland. Michael Ferland is like the perfect Flyer, by the way. Second period, can we get back into it? This game is over. Mitch Marner scores against his former team. Wade Allison makes it 4, and barring an absolutely horrific collapse from Carter Hart, this series will be tied. Marner makes it 5, and we will throw the towel in. 5-0 is your final. A shutout for Spencer Knight in Game 1. A shutout for Carter Hart in Game 2. 33 saves and a 5-0 victory. A 3-point night for Michael Ferland. 2 goals for Marner. And a very tough pill to swallow, having lost that game in that way. And it makes you wonder whether or not we made the right changes or if that was just bound to happen. Regardless, I'm intrigued to check the plus-minus of the fourth line because we know they were struggling a little bit. That fourth line had a bad game. Fourth line had a very bad game. And I'm going to be a little bit reactionary to that. I'm going to put the fourth line back together. And we're going to have Martin and Turcotte Philippe as the third line. And we'll see what we can do. So Hunter Shinkaruk will still be the center on the penalty kill. But I think we need to make that change. Not that I have the utmost confidence in the fourth line. They haven't been amazing this postseason. But I feel like something had to change, and at least it's a minor change. Heading into Game 3, we are in Philadelphia. This series is still a complete toss-up. Shutout victories in the first 2 games, 1 for each team. What will Game 3 have in store? First period, and it is a 2-1 lead, no shutouts on this occasion. Teuvo Teravainen gets the opening goal. Nino Niederreiter, 2 goals from the second line. Niederreiter made it 2-0, but under a minute later, JVR gets them back to within 1. The slight edge in shots for the Hurricanes, and the slight edge on the scoreboard. A huge goal from James Van Riemsdyk. Second period, and the offense continues yet again. 2-1 in our favor. Nino Niederreiter gets his second of the game, and Jamie Whitfield makes it 4-1, but again, a relatively late goal, this time from Sean Couturier, keeps Philly in it. 4-2 as we approach the final 20 minutes of regulation. Niederreiter having a gigantic game. Whitfield, the insurance goal. Just how valuable will that prove to be, as Philly has some power play time here to start the second, but they can't take advantage of it as we approach the halfway point. We're beyond the halfway point now. Under 8 minutes to go, still up by 2. The Carolina Hurricanes to the power play. No dice there, but an empty net goal from Hunter Shinkaruk. 5-2 is your final. Call it unpredictable. It is that and more. 5-2 final in Game 3 after back-to-back shutouts. Niederreiter leads the way with a 2-goal effort, 34 saves for Spencer Knight in the victory. And we have that 2-1 series lead. St. Louis is dominating Edmonton. Barring a miracle, the Blues will await the winner, because I can't escape the St. Louis Blues right now. We will jump to Game 4. Let the momentum continue. No lineup changes. A quick sim of the first period accidentally, better than accidentally simming the entire game, proved to be very beneficial for us. Whitfield gets the opening goal 41 seconds into regulation. They end up out shooting a 16-13, but we have the lead through 20 minutes. Second period, and we have the lead through 40 minutes, perhaps not in the way that you would have expected, though. Claude Giroux, just over the halfway point, 10:26 into the second period to be exact, ties this game up. Under a minute later, Matt Philippe restores the lead. It's 2-1. Rubtsov, just over a minute later, ties this game up again at 2 apiece, and then Trevor Zegras ends up having the difference maker to this point. It is 3-2. Philippe and Zegras in the second period, compounding on what Whitfield did in the first. 26 shots to 25, 3-2 on the board. This game is far from over, but a crucial Game 4 here. If we can hold on and get the job done out of nowhere, that is a 3-1 series lead. That massive advantage is what we're looking at right now. But do we have what it takes to get the job done? Sean Couturier waking up. He has tied this game at 3 apiece as a power play chance went to waste, and we're over halfway to overtime potentially. 5-on-3 power play for the Hurricanes. Nothing doing, and Wade Allison scores in the aftermath. The Philadelphia Flyers hold on to win. A devastating turn of events for more than one reason, and trust me, I've noticed. Power play goes to waste. Wade Allison scores on Jack Campbell. And the Flyers take Game 4 by the score of 4-3. They have tied this series up. A massive opportunity goes to waste, and the question is Spencer Knight hurt long-term again? And if he is, what the implications could be, the impact it could have on his future on this team where he has proven to be injury-prone already. I don't want to think that way, but it would be a question that would have to be asked. Is he out long-term? He is. Spencer Knight with an injured arm will be out until May 20th. The injuries piling up. Jack Campbell right now projected to start Game 5 with Knight joining Shen on the sideline. Knight will miss at least 1 start, perhaps 2. If he is not at 100%, we absolutely will not play him, as goalies do tend to get injured. Edmonton stays alive in Game 4. But goalies tend to get injured if you have them dressed. Even if they're on the bench, they tend to get injured. So if Spencer Knight is not back to 100% before Game 7, he will not play. There's no chance of that. So we will be relying on Jack Campbell. A huge opportunity slips through our fingertips in Game 4. We go back home for Game 5, and now we have to rely on the goalie who gave up the winning goal to Wade Allison and the Flyers in the prior game. Let's do this. A very, very important game. Can we rebound, or will the Flyers get the job done and put the pressure on us with back-to-back victories? First period, advantage Hurricanes. Whitfield and McKinnon, the top line, delivering 10 shots apiece, but 2-0 on the board. Again, 2 goals from the top line. Second period, advantage stays with the Hurricanes. Now a slight edge in shots, but still up 2-0 on the board. 19 saves for Jack Campbell. Knock on wood, do not jinx it. We go to the third. Can we shut them down? And will we be the ones to have the opportunity to close out this series in Game 6 back in Philadelphia? And it's a quick goal. 26 seconds in for Nolan Patrick. The lead is cut to just 1. Power play chance for the Canes, and Michael Ferland scores the second it ends. Phillies tied this one up. Power play for the Flyers. Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner makes it 3. Have the Flyers stolen Game 5? They absolutely have. James Van Riemsdyk seals the deal. A 4-goal third period for the Flyers. We go from being moments away from having a chance to end the series in Game 5 to having Game 5 be a nightmare where we are now facing elimination in Game 6. Again, the power play fails to impress in the third period as Edmonton wins again over the Blues. And suddenly, unfortunately, we are facing elimination. And it's a tough call as far as what to do. We have some maneuverability, not much, but we do have some maneuverability with this team if we choose to take advantage of it. The issue is we know that Shinkarik, Philippe, and Allen don't work too well on the fourth line. The third line, it's been relatively positive. It's tough though, man, because Zegras and Whitfield have been fine. Defensively, Machine hasn't been great, but he needs to be in. The only thing we can really do is change the side that he and Dylan play on. And the question of Jack Campbell, or do we turn to Jimmy Howard? Who gives us the best chance to win without Shen and Knight in the lineup? That is the question that we face right now. We kept Jimmy Howard as the result of a failed goal. I don't know if we can trust the 40-year-old to try and get the job done here in the postseason. Campbell was our insurance policy, but he has not lived up to expectation. When in doubt, go with the memes. And there is no bigger meme than Jimmy Howard starting in an elimination game at 40 years old. Game 6 in Philadelphia. Win or go home, and this run ends prematurely and sets the stage for a very interesting question regarding Spencer Knight's future down the road. It's a must-win. First period, 2 goals apiece. Whitfield, Giroux, Teravainen, and Marner. The big guns have shown up to play. 15 shots to 13, yet tied at 2 on the board, it is anybody's game. You look at the time it took. I mean, 5.5 minutes of offense, and we're tied. Second period, advantage Philadelphia. Claude Giroux's second of the game. And we need a strong effort here in the third, or our season is over. Who will be the hero, if anybody, that keeps our season alive, or is this it? Will we look back on this season with disappointment due to the injuries? Under 5 minutes left, the Philadelphia Flyers have eliminated the Carolina Hurricanes in 6 games. Between Campbell and Howard, it just wasn't enough. As Spencer Knight goes down to injury yet again, Bowen Byram went down to injury throughout the course of the game, as Edmonton might reverse sweep St. Louis. 3 straight losses. We were just moments away from having a 3-1 series lead, and instead we drop this series in 6 games. 17 games total. Spencer Knight only played in 12 of them. Not exactly ideal. The injury to Braden Shen and the effect that would have had on this team, on the series, were good, but we're not great as of yet. And unfortunately, it was just too big of a task. That Philly team was just simply outrageous. A tremendous postseason for Nathan MacKinnon and Whitfield, Zegras, Niederreiter, Svechnikov, Teravainen, all solid. I mean, it's tough to really ask for more. Obviously, you could. Defensively, I mean, Bean, Hamilton, O'Reilly were all great. You look at what Philippe Myers provided, which was outrageous. I think just the biggest issue is the injuries to Spencer Knight and the fact that the backup goaltending just wasn't quite there. That's not to say Jimmy Howard was bad in Game 6, but obviously it's a bigger issue. Is that Jack Campbell, who we brought on for that little bit of insurance, failed us. And that's all it took, unfortunately, for us to come up short. So the question is, Edmonton or St. Louis in the Stanley Cup Final? I'm intrigued to know who Philly will be taking on, and the answer, as Knight's healthy, that doesn't help us out too much. The answer is Edmonton. At the very least, we didn't get reverse swept in a conference final. Edmonton comes back and bounces St. Louis. It's an Oilers-Flyers Cup Final. And unfortunately, again, we fall just short. It is, or not again, but unfortunately, we fall just short. And it is a very big off-season ahead. MacKinnon, Whitfield, Teravainen's contracts are up. Zegras as well. Bowen Byram, do we let him go as an RFA? Braden Shen will probably walk to make room for some of the younger talents. Spencer Knight's contract is up as well. It's going to be a very interesting off-season. Although I have to admit, I don't think I'm ready for the offseason. It is disappointment as we fall just short. But what a return to the Cup Final for the Hurricanes. And hopefully, this is just the first step back into long-term relevancy. I thank you guys for watching. You know how YouTube works. Drop a like on the video and I'll love you for it. I will see you in the next one, where who knows what this team will look like by the time we reach October. But I'll see you guys on the other side.